Good day to all, comrades and friends. Global Weekly News, serial number 3. The first news, revolt of Sri Lankan people. 2022, 9th July, a milestone in Sri Lanka's history. This day we could see the climax in struggles of the people from March onwards against the enormous rise in prices of food, fuel, medicine, etc. Lakhs of people seized the president's palace. The private house of the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was set on fire. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has fled Sri Lanka to Maldives. Prime Minister became Ranil Wickremesinghe has now become the acting president. Today lakhs of people are on the streets of Colombo, entered Prime Minister's residence, demanding that Ranil Wickremesinghe shall not be made the president. A state of emergency has been declared by the acting president Ranil Wickremesinghe. Gotabaya is going to resign today. Ranil Wickremesinghe is the only MP of his party in the parliament. He does not have much respect. These people could not solve the burning issues of Sri Lanka. People have to stand in long queues before the petrol pumps for hours and days together. Unprecedented inflation is there. Essential goods, including milk powder, are not available in the market, even if people pay a premium over the fixed price. People are angry over the deteriorating economy and increase in cost of living. People have put up tents before the president's house and demonstrating from March onwards, demanding his resignation. Dozens of protesters got injured due to police repression. A few months before, people attacked the traditional homes of Rajapaksa's family. The memorials of the family ancestors, the residences of MPs were also attacked. On 9th July, the government declared a curfew, but it has to suddenly withdraw due to the opposition by the people, by Human Rights Council and by Bar Council, etc. Though public transport was very much affected, people came to the capital city Colombo in trains. Many government officials are waiting for instructions from above. People look upon Gotabaya with great contempt. Even before March, Sri Lanka was facing economic financial crisis. Why? The government suddenly banned the use of chemical fertilizers. Therefore, agricultural production got declined. In 2019, government reduced the taxes. People welcomed it, but revenues to the government reduced. Sri Lankan workers working abroad, they used to remit money to the relatives in Sri Lanka. But due to COVID-19 in 20 and 21, this source of remittances inflow into the Sri Lanka, the money stopped since most of them lost their jobs and income in foreign countries. The living standards of most of the people drastically came down. The value of Sri Lanka currency also declined. And Sri Lanka is spending too much on its military. Though Sri Lanka is an island and fish availability is there in the oceans, fishing boats were idle due to scarcity of diesel and therefore people could not even get fish. The upper rich people alone can afford to consume meat. There is a crisis in education also. Universities were shut down a few days ago. Online education has started. The Bank of Sri Lanka has declared bankruptcy. Due to this, there is stalemate in negotiations with the IMF in restructuring the terms of loan repayment and getting new loans to clear the old loans. Even if IMF comes forward to help Sri Lanka, it will force stringent conditionalities. It was said that Ranil Wickremesinghe is having international clout. But after he was made the Prime Minister, nothing improved in the economy. Economic crisis continues unabated in many capitalist countries. Sri Lanka, being a small nation with a population below 25 million, could see massive upsurge and protest and turmoil in the capital. Sections of the police, army also have joined with the protesters. Rajapaksa era will soon come to an end. Socialism is the only alternative, comrades. Will Sri Lankan people realize this reality? How and when? Let us wait and see. Second news. Japanese former Prime Minister shorted. From Japan, we have really a quite stunning news. The former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, 67 years old, was shot dead by a 41-year-old man on 8th July. Abe was killed during his electoral campaign. The homicide rate in Japan, that is, a man killing another man with a particular intention, that is called homicide. The homicide rate in Japan is only 0.3 in 1 lakh. But in America, it is 4.7. In America, many people get killed due to sudden gunshots, but the deaths are not registered. Violent culture is comparatively low in Japan. Therefore, Abe's murder is quite horrifying. Abe belongs to a far-right family. When Abe's grandfather was Prime Minister, he was stabbed in his thigh in 1960, but he did not die. Many attacks were done on the politicians of Japan, especially on communists and leaders of the Socialist Party. Deaths due to these attacks are very few. Contrary to this, in the United States, many presidents were killed. For example, John F. Kennedy, while he was President of America, he was murdered. There was an attempt to kill Ronald Reagan also. There were many murderers in USA from 19th century beginning onwards. Mayors and governors were attacked in Japan. The mayor of Nagasaki, Ito, was shot dead by a mafia gangster. He was trying to clean up the city of Nagasaki. We may not be in agreement with many of the policies of Shinzo Abe. Still, a cold-blooded murder of a former Prime Minister is a sad news. The third news is resignation of Boris Johnson. On 7th July, Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of United Kingdom, the Great Britain, he decided to resign. He will continue as Prime Minister till his Conservative Party elects a new PM. The conference of the Conservative Party is fixed on 2nd October. 5 of his cabinet colleagues, including the Health Minister and Chief Finance Minister Rishi Sunak, have already resigned. These ministers allege that the government has lost the confidence of the people. The Home Minister Priti Patel met Boris Johnson and asked him to resign. In the past few months, Boris Johnson-led government is involved in many scandals. Chris Pincher, a MP, on whom an inquiry is pending for his sexual abuse, has been promoted as a deputy chief whip in the parliament. Boris Johnson apologized for this act in the parliament. Inflation is on the rise. Cost of living has gone up very much. Due to these factors, millions and millions of people are not in a position to purchase food, fuel to their actual requirements. Government failed in fighting COVID-19. There was mismanagement in public health and national health service. When there was lockdown in London, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, had a liquor party of his friends in 10 Downing Street, PM's residence. This scandal is called Partygate scandal. This has caused anger among the people. In the no confidence motion in the parliament, 40% of ruling party MPs cast their votes against the government. The taxes of ordinary poor workers was enhanced. Workers are struggling against the austerity measures. Due to Ukraine war, there are supply constraints. Food and fuel costs have gone up enormously. Power and fuel bills of British households have gone up 50% from the beginning of this year. House rents have also gone up severely. Railway workers went on 4-day strike, demanding wage revision. The employees of National Health Service, educators, doctors, etc. have given warning to the government that they will also go on strike if their demands are not exceeded. Government is planning to give 3 to 5% wage hike for the nurses. You see, comrades, inflation itself is 9% and it may go up to 11% as per Bank of England. Then this 3 to 5% is very meager rise. New Prime Minister and new cabinet will come. British Communist Party has appealed to the working class to strengthen their struggles, because even if the new government is formed, there is not going to be much difference in the economic policies. The chief opposition party of Great Britain, namely the Labour Party, that party has isolated the progressive leader Jeremy Corbyn. Even if Labour Party comes to power, there will be no change in the British economic policies. Comrades, the fourth news item regarding elections in Brazil. There will be elections in Brazil on 2nd October for the posts of President, Vice President and members of the Parliament. Lula da Silva of the Workers' Party is ahead in the race for President's post. As per opinion polls, 44% of voters are in favor of him, whereas the Liberal Party leader and the present President, Jair Bolsonaro, got only 36% votes in his favor. On 6th January 2021, when the counting was in progress inside the Capitol in Washington, Donald Trump's supporters raided the office. Similar incident may occur in Brazil also if Lula da Silva gets elected. The rightist forces are very much eager to defeat Lula da Silva at any cost. So we have to have cautious optimism regarding the victory of Lula da Silva. Workers' Party of Lula has got much influence among the women, youth, low-income voters. Bolsonaro is popular among the rich people. Due to COVID-19, in Brazil alone, 7 lakh people died. 7 lakh means 0.7 million. People are angry with Bolsonaro on the inaction of the government in facing COVID-19. The fifth item, let us go to Sudan, North African country. Last year, 2021 October, the civilian government of al-Bashir was overthrown through a coup in Sudan. Military government displaced the civilian government. Abdul Fattah Burhan, the military ruler, has now said that he is ready to negotiate a formation of transitional interim civilian government. But the opposition party, Forces for Freedom and Change, FFC, Forces for Freedom and Change, has refused to take part in the negotiation. FFC has called upon the people to intensify the struggles against the government. FFC leader Taha Uthman said the military rulers' call for negotiations is a tactic to cheat the people. He declared that changes can be brought about only through revolution, and he demanded the resignation of coup leaders and the military rulers. Due to repression by the military government, 100 were killed, more than 1,000 got injured. Sudan's economy has fallen due to international economic sanctions and internal instability and unrest. Sudan is now one of the most poorest countries in the world. The sixth item, let us go to Panama. When we say Panama, we always remember the Panama Canal linking North America and South America. Panama is a country. Economic crisis is affecting Panama, a Central American country. Cost of living has gone up. 3 years back, Laurentino Cortizo led rightist government came to office. Fishermen, students, teachers, and civilians are conducting many struggles on their demands, facing government repression. Construction Labor Union and other people's friends submitted 32-point charter demands to the government. Control of fuel and essential items, price, wage revision, curtailment of prices of medicine, repair of roads, schools, and other public infrastructure, withdrawal of 4 military bases of United States in Panama, defense of rights of the indigenous people are some of the major demands. The government of Panama is interested only in the defense of corporate profit and capital. Since the government has categorically ruled out acceptance of any of the demands, the people of Panama are on the struggle path from 1st July onwards. The last item for this week is new constitution in Chile. Comrades, you all remember Allende, the Marxist, became the president through elections. He got elected through ballot, but he was shot dead by a dictator, Pinochet, another military man. During the military dictatorial rule of Pinochet, in 1980, a constitution was framed suiting to the interests of the dictatorial rule. Now a new progressive government led by Gabriel Boric had started exercising on the drafting of a new constitution. After 1 year of draft is now ready. This draft constitution is based on the principle of equality and inclusive growth. That's all this week, comrades. Let us again see next week. Thank you. Lal Salam.